Identity is one of the hugest problems that has yet to been solved in not just crypto, but traditional finance. And it's been a hair on fire problem since forever. So guys, in this video, this might be my altcoin call of the year. I'm gonna give you guys an in-depth fundamental analysis on a project. We're gonna go through the team. We're gonna go through the problem that they're solving. I'm gonna show you the institutional capital that's backing this project, which is crazy. It doesn't get any better. We're gonna go through the tokenomics. I'm gonna reveal what the token is at the end of the video, because you shouldn't just watch a video, hear a token, and go buy. I'm gonna reveal how to buy it, where to buy it, and literally everything you need to know to start your research process. So, per usual, this video is not financial advice. Use this channel as a starting point, but always do your own research. So, let's start with the problem. So, today, banks and financial institutions burn hundreds of millions of dollars on KYC and compliance with little to show for it. So this project is aiming to make identity an asset, not a cost, turning it from an expense to a profit. Okay, so you can kind of think reusable ID credentials that banks and fintech companies issue and get paid every time another institution verifies them. So in short, they'll be able to turn something that they hate, which is compliance, into a crazy revenue stream. This is similar to what Visa did and how they turned payments into a $185 billion a year industry for card issuers. So the vision for this company is to have a digital backpack where you have a portable and user-controlled identity layer, right? You'll be able to carry your credentials to any app, essentially. So that means no more repetitive signups or redundant ID checks. Just one trusted login will unlock everything on multiple platforms, is the goal. So they're proposing that identity will become an invisible force that smooths every transaction, collapsing onboarding friction and personalizing finance globally. So now, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Let's get into the backing that this project has. And to do that, we have to talk about one of the most popular and successful venture capital firms, not just in Silicon Valley, but the world, and that is Ribbit Capital. So if you go to ribbitcap.com, you can see their website. It says it takes money to change money. So if you go to their Our Bet section, you can see some of the companies that they have invested in. So they've been pretty on the money, and we're gonna talk about the founder here in a bit. So you see they invested in Aave, Arbitrum, Brex, which I used to use, Chain Analysis, Coinbase, this is a big one. I remember CoinSwitch from back in the day, Credit Karma, which is one of their favorite investments. They got acquired by Intuit for, I think, like $7 billion or something like that. Ethereum, Fireblocks, Helium, ID.me, we've all used that. Morpho, Coinbase's partner in the whole DeFi mullet concept. Osmosis, Plaid, which we've all used if you're in America and you sign into banking apps. Revolut, Robinhood, Solana, TaxBit, Uniswap. So as you can see, they've invested into some pretty reputable companies, not just in TradFi, but crypto as well. So they definitely have the foresight. So you can assume that if this company is backing the project that I'm about to talk about, they've had a pretty great track record, one of the best. And if we look at their team, you can see that, they have a pretty big team. The founder is this guy right here, Mickey Malka. And we're gonna dive into him here in a bit. Okay, so this fund was started in 2012, so for over a decade, Ribbit Capital played the fintech game on their own terms and made some pretty crazy bets and won big multiple times, right? So this is the same firm that bet on zero commission trading back when Wall Street was very against it. Robinhood was one of those investments. They bet on crypto exchanges when banks ignored them. As you see, they invested in Coinbase, and they bet on neobanks rising from emerging markets, and one of their most other popular investments in that area is Nubank, and so many more. So, like I said, it's led by Mickey Malka, who's pretty famous in the Valley, and they earned a reputation for basically just seeing around corners, like I said. So now they have $12 billion in assets under management, and now they're claiming that they're making one of their biggest bets yet in the identity space, one that can redefine finance all over again. So in their January 2024 letter to investors, and I'll drop the link to that letter in the description. It's pretty long, it's 22 pages, definitely recommend you read it. Very, very insightful. They proclaim that identity is the new money, right? So in other words, the next era of fintech, so they claim, won't be whoever moves dollars the fastest or the cheapest, but whoever adds the most meaning to these dollars. right? So money is becoming contextual. Each payment, trade, or transfer carries their own unique story, essentially. Who's behind it? What's it for? Can it be trusted? Is it legit? And today's financial infrastructure can't capture that context, as we've all known, right? It's a thick wall that sits between our digital lives and our money. And Ribbit's message is that if you fix identity, you can actually fix finance. And they're doing this now because the stakes are trillions of dollars. So let's dive into Mickey really quick here. Okay, so for starters, he's the number 2 VC in the world. He has a net worth of $592 million, right? So he's a fintech and VC legend. So Mickey was born in Venezuela. He built his first fintech company in his early 20s. It was called Banco Lemon, and their goal was to revolutionize microfinance. So after that, he later founded Ribbit Capital, which has been a key player in shaping the modern financial industry, backing companies, as you guys have seen, that has changed everything both for fintech and crypto. So this guy is literally one of the most successful VCs of our time. He's number 2 on the Forbes Midas list, and like I said, he's the founder of Ribbit Capital with 12 billion plus in assets under management, early investor in Coinbase, Robinhood, Ethereum, Solana. We've already shown that. He's a board member of Robinhood. So he has this pattern to where every major financial shift in the past decade, he was early on it. So now he's making his next move into AI and crypto. Okay, so now that we covered that, Ribbit is quietly aligning 30 plus portfolio allies around this shared identity stack, right? One thing about venture capitalists is that once they invest into their portfolio companies, they try to get them all to work together so as to increase the chances of success, right? And it makes sense. So from consumer platforms like Coinbase, Robinhood, Revolut, Telegram, to infrastructure players like Chainalysis, Privy, Crossmint, and Persona, and more, guys, all of these are converging on a unified ID protocol. And in their 2024 letter that I just referenced, it hints at a cross-platform standard, or what they call a network of networks, where verified identity data flows seamlessly and privately between services. If we refer to the letter, it says standards are emerging that will help foster innovation around identity. With digital identities becoming richer and more valuable, we are seeing increased traction around more open and interoperable identity systems. Interoperable means connected together, essentially. Some examples include the W3C verifiable credentials model, ISO, IEC, being adopted by companies such as Apple for its MDL implementation, and a wide variety of blockchain-based approaches. Now, while we don't believe any single standard will be employed everywhere, we do see the potential for networks of networks like we observe in the payment space. For example, the OpenID Foundation has established OpenID for verifiable credentials, which is an attempt to enable compatibility between both of these standards and common current identity infrastructure. With time, just as we've seen with open banking in many countries around the world, we expect considerable government and industry support for these efforts, leading to both better experiences for consumers and a range of new business opportunities for entrepreneurs. So guys, you have to keep in mind, financial services is a $16 trillion a year industry, right? And it's increasingly held back by old ID processes, right? So think about it. Whenever something breaks in fintech, whether it's a payment being blocked or an account setup takes weeks, fraud alerts, your funds getting frozen, 10 times out of 10, 9.8 times out of 10, it's an identity problem at the core, right? Identity is that invisible force that is enabling or hindering almost everything that happens or doesn't happen in digital finance. And it's like we still rely on updating passports and utility bills like it's the 90s. So this is a pretty huge opportunity. So whoever actually streamlines and solves this digital identity problem, they will be the ones who upgrade the entire financial system, even if it's a small percentage. They will be able to capture enormous value in the process of doing that. And Ribbit Capital is extremely convinced and willing to spend the next 10 years and untold capital to make it happen. Okay, so let's talk about the problem a little bit more. I really want to hone this in. So one of their most radical insights is flipping the script on compliance and KYC. So banks today, they hate compliance. They just see it as a wasted expense. Hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on verifying IDs, and that doesn't give them any kind of competitive advantage. It just makes them be able to be within regulation. So Ribbit is asking themselves, what if instead identity verification can go from an expense to a profit? Like in the beginning of the video, I made the analogy to credit card networks, and they made this reference in their letter. Creating Visa and MasterCard turned payments into a $185 billion a year industry for card issuers who earn fees by handling transactions. I used to work in credit card processing, so anytime a business accepts a payment via card, they pay 3 to 5% in fees. The fees go to the acquiring bank, the issuing bank, the card company. So if you do and other banks, if you do $100K in revenue in a month, 3 to 5K gone. So Ribbit, they kind of see the same parallel happening, but with an identity. And they're envisioning a network where identity issuers, such as banks, fintechs, even crypto exchanges, make money each time they vouch for a user's identity to a third party. So imagine this. You have a bank that KYC'd you, right? And they thoroughly verified your ID for an account. They can issue a digital credential attesting, yes, Vince is a verified person. So when I want to come sign up at another fintech or crypto platform, that platform can ping the network and pay the bank for instant KYC verification instead of doing it all over again from scratch. So suddenly, these companies are going to be looking forward to it. It's not going to be a headache. It's going to be an asset. And the beauty of this model is incentive alignment. Everything in the economy works off of incentives. And if someone isn't incentivized to do something, or a company isn't incentivized to do something, it usually doesn't happen. And this is typically why governments don't do good when they try to take over business industries, because governments don't get paid performance fees. They get paid flat rate. So it's like, what incentive do they have to perform well? And I can give many examples of this. It's a really good book called Naked Economics that really dives into this concept. But if identity data becomes a product, everyone has reasons to collaborate on standards. Just like banks came together under Visa in the 60s to monetize electronic payments. So we're gonna come into a world where we see Amazon or Coinbase paying small fees to identity providers. For example, like JP Morgan or even a crypto KYC firm to instantly verify users rather than making users repeatedly submit documents, right? Compliance is just gonna go from a headache to just a simple API call, and a profitable API call at that. So now, you get the vision. How do you actually make this thing real? Like how will it work? Well, in their letter, which I recommend you read again, they talk about what's called building a digital backpack. And this is a unified user-central identity layer for the internet. So the concept is pretty simple and also powerful. You carry a portable identity wallet that you control, filled with all of your verified credentials, your government IDs, your financial profiles, reputation, credit scores, all that stuff. All those things that you get asked when you sign up for any type of usually like financial account, whether a bank account or sign up for Coinbase. So you'll be able to instantly share bits of this identity, the required parts of it, with apps and services as needed. So you'll be able to prove who you are without endlessly filling out forms and re-uploading documents. And just as importantly, you can revoke access just as easily, so you maintain privacy and control. And in their letter, they lay out a framework for this, and they describe it as reusable identification wallets that let customers aggregate their identity info and bring it with them to different products. Much like a passport you can use in any country, to keep it super simple. Now, this digital backpack isn't just a single app or company, but it's actually an interoperable standard across many networks, across many companies, right? So you can think of it as like an identity layer hub that all of fintech and crypto services just kind of plug into. Essentially a network of trust underlying everything, just like you have the internet as the underlying network that all these protocols and applications gets built off of, kind of like the same thing here. So if it's done right, users gain freedom, businesses gain confidence, so they'll be able to instantly trust who they're dealing with, and then regulators will get better oversight with less overhead. So it's like your finance apps and your bank accounts will suddenly know who you are, with your permission obviously, so they can serve you without endless prompts. You'll be able to sign up for a bank account or some kind of financial account with one click, just because you have this digital backpack that has all the information that is needed. So now let's talk about the practicality and how it will make certain instances easier. So one instance is sending funds will have more significance behind it. So it's like, imagine getting a loan and lenders instantly seeing your reputation and credentials without you manually having to email PDFs and go search these old files that you have, right? Friction drops and trust will rise. So user experience will jump to another level as well. So that means no more passwords, no more repetitive forms, and you won't have to worry about the whole upload your ID and wait 3 to 5 days kind of situation. And one of the biggest things, we've all been hearing about AI and how it's been taken over. This identity layer will actually unlock AI agents in finance. So we're on the cusp of personal AI assistants and autonomous agents handling everything from investing to even just shopping for us. But for us to trust an AI to act for us or let it interact with financial systems while we're not there, they need a way to vouch for our identities and our rights. So with all the companies that Ribbit has invested into, this identity network you can call it, you can actually delegate a verified slice of your digital ID to an AI agent, and suddenly you can say, hey, open a bank account for me, execute this trade, book this trip for me, all in my name, and you can give it the limits that you want to set, budgeting, whatever. And now this is where all of their portfolio companies come into play and working together. You have to really consider the roster of the companies that they invested into / are closely aligned with, and you can see that it's just like an identity super network powerhouse, right? So let's go down the list. So you have Coinbase, which is a crypto giant. They have millions, hundreds of millions of KYC users and a growing identity base, right? Think Coinbase Wallet and Coinbase Exchange. You have Robinhood and Revolut, which are consumer finance applications, and they have easy user interfaces. A portable ID or digital backpack will actually be able to allow them to onboard and cross-offer services with near zero friction. Telegram, right? Telegram has over 1 billion users now integrating into the TON blockchain. And if you didn't know, Ribbit did just co-lead a $400 million TON coin round. I don't see a coincidence there, right? You have Privy, and this is a wallet onboarding infrastructure for Web3 apps. They were also funded by Ribbit to help developers embed easy crypto ID logins. And they recently got acquired by Stripe, which is the number 4 largest fintech company in the world. You have CrossMint, and they're building on-chain tools for enterprises and AI agents backed by Ribbit to move every business onto blockchain rails. And then crucially, they are also trying to enable AI agents to have identity in wallets. Chainalysis. So this is a blockchain analytics compliance company, and they link addresses to real-world entities providing the risk compliance data to essentially enrich an identity network. And then you have Persona, which is an ID verification startup that Ribbit co-funded, which handles verification across industries, and they just raised $200 million to build the internet's trust layer. And then it's a slew of others, like from banking API providers to anti-money laundering platforms. Essentially, every single puzzle piece of the identity network that's needed to create this interoperable layer, Ribbit has a stake in it. All right, so now that we've went through all of the research, let's go to the actual token so you guys know what it is. And remember, guys, we all know of the Coinbase effect, and Coinbase is one of their platform companies, so I wouldn't be surprised if this bull cycle that this token was listed on Coinbase. And you know what happens when the token gets listed on Coinbase is more liquidity. I just made a video on the importance of liquidity for trading and yield farming. The more liquidity that there is, the more that whales can buy it. So I don't think that's far-fetched at all. So the token ticker is called Tibbir, which is Ribbit backwards, right? Coincidence? I think not. And the tokenomics are perfect, right? You have a market cap of 110,474,845, and the fully diluted valuation is the exact same as the market cap, which means that all of the tokens are already unlocked. The token was launched on the Base network, and if you scroll down here, you can see where the top places to buy it are. So most of the trading is happening on Aerodrome, exchanging Tibbir for wrapped ETH, and then after that, you have Tibbir for Virtual. They deployed it on Virtuals. And Virtuals protocol is essentially a decentralized platform that enables easy deployment of AI agents. You can create your own AI agent and deploy it to be used by people. And it uses cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to help developers bootstrap AI agent launches. And there's also a USDC pair on Base as well, but not much of the swapping is happening there. And it's not on any major centralized exchanges. You can see it's on Orbit and LBank and KSEX, but no Coinbases, no Krakens, no Robinhoods, no Geminis yet. And if we look at the chart, it looks pretty healthy. This is the 4-hour chart. So you can see it's just been steadily rising, right? And we had a big drop, and now we're still trending upward, right? So you have a lower high, you have a low here, and then you have a lower high, and you have a high here, and you have a higher high. So we just dipped to retest the 62 EMA, and I think this token is gonna pump like hard this cycle just because of the money that's backing it, right? If we look at, and these green lines are the two areas that I bought in. Guys, it's crazy how I even found this project. I feel like I was guided to find it, and as soon as I started to dive into it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. But if we look at the daily chart, right, it still looks good, right? Still trending higher. It's good when you see it's an uptrend on the short time frame, because you'll be able to see the changes in the short time frame first. And I give this analogy in multiple videos. It's kind of like a boat, like a giant ship versus a jet ski. Like when you are steering a ship, you can turn the steering wheel, which is, think of that as like the long-term trend. You can turn it all the way to the left, but you won't see the actual ship turn until a little bit later, because it's a big ship, it has to move, right? But you can see the propeller turning if you look under the boat, like that small propeller. And this is the smaller you go in time frames, you can see the change in the trend. But when you look at longer time frames such as this, you can see where the trend is already going. So you see where the ship is headed, and you can see that the ship is still heading upward. Like there's going to be some dips along the way, but for $110,000 market cap, and the problem that this is solving, and that all the tokens are unlocked, and the money that's behind it, and the team that's behind it, even the fact that they launched on virtuals, it's a lot going for this. Even if you look on the weekly, the long-term trend is still upward. So now you're probably thinking to yourself, like, how do you know that this Ribbit capital is involved? How do you know that someone didn't just launch a fake token? Well, the Tibbir contract was actually funded by the 7-year-old Ethereum wallet by Mickey Malka. And I'm going to prove that to you right now. And before I do, it's reasonable to think that because there hasn't been an official announcement, right? No press release, no public acknowledgement. But what can't be denied is good old on-chain data and SEC filings. Let's take a look. So the SEC filings show that Tibbir Trust was created weeks before Tibbir was launched, this token that we're talking about. And 102,183 Robinhood shares worth approximately 5.1 million were sent to that trust. So it's like you have a brand new trust with a mysterious name right before the launch of a token with the same name. And that's actually just the first piece of the puzzle. The on-chain data confirms that Mickey Malka's 2,700 days old wallet funded the developer wallet that later deployed the Tibbir contract on virtuals. So this wasn't just a casual transaction. It actually directly enabled the launch of Tibbir. So the wallet provided funds to the same address that deployed Tibbir, which connects Mickey Malka directly to the project before it even went live. And it's all out there for anyone to look. Not only that, but top Ribbit Capital employees and Silicon Valley VCs are quietly watching. So around the same time, Ribbit Capital employees, Raoul Pal, Coinbase Ventures execs, Dragonfly VCs, and ex-Grayscale leaders all started following Ribbita 2012 on Twitter, which is the Ribbit Capital Twitter. And these aren't just some random traders, guys. Let's kind of go through some of them. These are some of the most connected people in the industry. And they know something because they're all following, right? So here's the list of accounts. You have Nick Shalik. He's the GP at Ribbit Capital, also the second highest ranking person at Ribbit. Like I said, Raoul Pal, he's the founder and CEO at Real Vision, has a pretty big YouTube channel. We've all heard him before. You have Zach Rosen from Ribbit Capital. Eva Melanzer, also Ribbit Capital employee. Haddock M, who's a VC general partner at Dragonfly Capital. OXSUDOGM, another investor at Dragonfly, also an ex-engineer at Chainlink. You have Jonathan King, who's an investor in VC at Coinbase Ventures. You have Grace Ding, who's an investor at 7X Ventures and manages a portfolio of 120 projects with an assets under management above $300 million. Joshua Jacob, the managing director at Mullins. Shasta, early stage VC with a little over $1 billion in assets under management. And then you have Lazy Sailor Moon, which is a VC and angel investor, used to work at Binance. And feel free to go and verify all this stuff for yourself, guys. And also, Ribbit Capital sponsored an AI hackathon right before Tibbir's launch. On November 1st, they co-hosted a hackathon. Guess what the theme was? It was hacking for agentic finance. and it featured some of their portfolio companies and other established partners such as OpenAI, Solana, Robinhood, and many more. So I think it's pretty obvious, like right before Tibbir first appeared, Ribbit Capital was funding research into AI-driven financial models. The Virtuals platform where Tibbir launched hinted at AI democratizing venture capital. So it's just like the timing is, I don't think it's coincidental. I see the breadcrumbs super in a line, and hopefully you guys can too. So now, what other than price go up, what can this token be used for? I think they're setting it up to reward participants in the ecosystem, which is similar to how Revolut uses points to reward user loyalty. So it's like, this is still speculative, right? But I think how they look at incentives and everything, I think the idea is that the token can align stakeholders, users, companies, verifiers, by economically rewarding the growth of the network. So if your digital backpack becomes the default login for apps, every party that helped verify or enrich your identity, make it more dense and helpful, can earn a slice of the value, potentially paid in the Tibbir token. And a model such as this could actually turn the identity network into a self-sustaining economy, much like how Bitcoin incentivizes miners to secure it. Incentives, guys, remember. So for now, unsurprisingly, Ribbit and his partners are keeping things low-key, but like I said, you see all the breadcrumbs here. So for everyone paying attention, just look at the on-chain data, look at the funding news, look at the strategic partnerships, and how what they've been preaching is in line with what this project is trying to do. So guys, there you have it. If you want to get access to crazy alpha and you want to learn how to manage your portfolio like an institution via our yield farming strategies and courses, go ahead and click the link in the description. Got two options. You can either book a free strategy session with me. We'll see if our program's a good fit. Or two, you can join our community for free. And our community got access to this video before it even hit the internet. And a lot of times this stuff is time sensitive. So if you want to join the elite and get ahead of the curve, like I think we are on this one, hey, click the link and I hope to meet you soon. Other than that, I'd like to conclude this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know what other altcoins you guys want me to cover. But with that, thank you so much for watching. I love every single one of you who tuned in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and trade safe.